So they end up with quite a large wardrobe, but generally full of stuff that they don't actually really wear or really like, because it was just bought on a whim. It wasn't thought about. It wasn't, what have I got to go with it? When am I going to wear it? How am I going to create an outfit with it? There are certain things obviously in a wardrobe that most women, I believe, should have. And by having those pieces, you can just create more outfits. But generally those core classic key pieces are the bits that you really should be spending your money on.
And what do you think are the main core classic key pieces that everybody should have in their wardrobe?
And you're wearing one of them?
Thank you. Today, I am joined by the incredible Cleo Lacey Edwards, also known as Demi Couture Stylist. We'll be diving into all things fashion, interior, and her inspiring journey to where she is today. Cleo is not only a well-known and highly respected stylist in the industry, she's also someone who personally helped me discover my own love for fashion. I know this episode is going to be full of insight and inspiration, so let's get into it. Cleo, welcome to Off the Runway. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
This is one of my dream guests. I'm absolutely over the moon that you've come today, so thank you so much. And I'm sure all the listeners are going to be really inspired by your journey just as much as I am. So please, could you tell me, how did your journey into fashion and styling begin?
So I went to university. I did a degree in business and marketing because I knew I always wanted to be self-employed, but I wasn't quite sure at that point when I left school and did my A-levels what actually it was I wanted to do. But I thought I wanted to become a buyer, and I did. So my time at university, I did stick out like a sore thumb. It was an agricultural university I went to.
Oh, really? Wow.
But fashion has always been just in my blood. It's always been a passion of mine. And I think I did my dissertation all about fashion and branding, and it was just a natural step for me. So then I went to become a buyer. And then from that started my own business, God, nearly 15 years ago now, into styling.
Demi Couture Stylist.
Absolutely.
And where did that name come from?
So I am very much of the mind, the way that I sort of curate my own wardrobe and the way that I try to create my clients is by having both high-end and high street pieces. Because I think if you're kind of all head to toe in one look, it's not really very original. It's not really very you can't add your personality to it. Where when you're mixing, if say you've got a budget, you could maybe get away with a pair of, say, cheaper jeans, but if you put on a beautiful coat or gorgeous handbag, it just totally elevates your outfit. So for me, I'm all about sort of spreading your budget in certain areas. There's certain areas you can really save, but then I believe there's certain areas that you should be spending on in your wardrobe. So that sort of quality versus quantity is something that I'm a big advocate of.
Which I'll get into shortly. And was there any defining moments early in your career that set you and where you were like, yes, like this is for me, this is made me, this is what I'd like to do?
I think I used to work at a health spa called Ragdale Hall, not very far from where I live at home, where I was a buyer for. And I was doing sort of fashion shows in an evening for the guests that were staying at the hotel. And then the next morning we'd do like a bit of a personal shopping morning. So they would come into the boutique and they'd be like, right, Cleo, I loved that outfit last night. Can you try it on me? And then whilst the guest was in the fitting room, I'd be grabbing things for them and kind of just looking at their body shapes and asking them what they, where they were going, what they needed the outfit for. And so I was sort of naturally styling before I even really knew I was. And I just love dressing people. I suppose it goes back to being a kid when you've got dolls that you're playing dress up with, and you're dressing your Cindy's and your Barbies, and I just absolutely loved it. And I had this real passion for it. And I think because I loved it about real women and showing them that just because they're uncomfortable about their own body shapes, and it's about disguising what they don't like and elevating what they do like. And I love that side of the job, and it's so easy to dress other people more than it is yourself, really.
Definitely. And I feel like there's so much more that goes into styling, because you're going into clients' houses, but there's probably normally a reason,
Absolutely.
that they come to you.
Yeah. And it's so much more than just shopping. It's because women are feeling sort of a part in their life where they're just struggling a bit for whatever reason that may be, whether it's a change in body shape or size, or post childbirth, divorce, a career change, menopause, or something that's happened in their life where it's affected perhaps their confidence and self-esteem. They've perhaps lost their way a little bit, or they might not have even had style to begin with in the first place. They might be like, right, finally, I'm going to take control and sort myself and my wardrobe out. But there's generally a reason why someone ends up contacting you for some help. And it might be something really quite small to something that's really quite life-changing and transformative.
Definitely. And you do describe yourself as the capsule wardrobe queen, which you definitely are. Yeah. And what is your approach to building one of your clients a capsule wardrobe?
So there's obviously certain pieces in a woman's wardrobe that are sort of classic and could apply to a lot of different women and lifestyles. But obviously you've got to work with the individual.
Definitely.
And, they may be a stay-at-home school mum where they've got to do the school run. They then may head off to the gym, Pilates. They may meet a friend for lunch. They then have to do the school run. They're cooking dinner. So really, their lifestyle is quite casual, and it's got to be practical. They might be on the sports field at weekends in a head-to-toe down coat because it's freezing cold. Or they could be, an incredibly professional woman that's working constantly, that has to look sharp and polished and sophisticated and stylish. Whatever background they have, you kind of have to tailor that capsule wardrobe to them. But there are certain things, obviously, in a wardrobe that most women, I believe, should have. And by having those pieces, you can just create more outfits. And once you have that foundation of good quality capsule pieces, each season you can then just add those fun bits that,
Definitely.
might be more on trend or more current, just to kind of elevate your look. But generally, those core classic key pieces are the bits that you really should be spending your money on.
And what do you think are the main core classic key pieces that everybody should have in their wardrobe?
And you're wearing one of them. White shirt. So really good pair of jeans, white shirt, great blazer, good cashmere, good knitwear, gorgeous pair of boots. Good pair of trainers now. It was never that, years ago when I started, everyone was in heels, but obviously it's very much now a nice pair of flat loafers or trainers, depending on the lifestyle again. Gorgeous winter coat, leather jacket. So there's kind of those real capsule pieces that I think most people would use at some point in their wardrobe.
Definitely. And when you talk about quality versus quantity, how do you apply that when styling clients?
So some women naturally would err to wanting a smaller wardrobe just because of ease, perhaps not having as much space. It makes getting ready in the morning much easier, but it has got to all work together, which obviously a lot of people struggle with because when they go shopping, they generally attract to the same things. So they end up with a wardrobe full of very similar stuff, hence why still having nothing to wear. So being able to curate a capsule wardrobe is basically knowing what you've already got and then knowing what you're missing and what you need to be able to create all of these outfits. Now, some women just love shopping. I mean, don't we do, it's a feel good thing, isn't it?
Definitely.
Have it down, or, we're probably sat online in the evening with a cup of tea or glass of wine thinking, oh, that looks nice. And it feels good. It's that instant hit of dopamine of you've bought something and you can't wait for it to arrive, or you're physically shopping. So they end up with quite a large wardrobe, but generally full of stuff that they don't actually really wear or really like because it was just bought on a whim. It wasn't thought about. It wasn't, what have I got to go with it? When am I going to wear it? How am I going to create an outfit with it? And so really, you've got to kind of look at that piece and go, right, when am I going to wear it? What have I got to go with it? And what am I missing? And then we either keep it and it forms part of that capsule wardrobe, or it goes to charity or gets sold or whatever they want to do with it. And so you kind of try and narrow the wardrobe down just to kind of make it really easy for them to get ready in the morning.
I can imagine it's quite hard for some clients to say goodbye to a lot of pieces.
Yeah. Well, I think some people are naturally, hoarders, and they've spent money on something. They don't like the thought of getting rid of it. But I think once you're in the mindset of having Cleo coming round to go through your wardrobe, you're kind of already nearly there. And maybe I'm just the little push that's needed because we don't do it ourselves.
No.
I think, why should I pay someone to come and clear my wardrobe? But you just don't do it yourself.
No.
And then it's having the knowledge of knowing what to then put back in it.
Definitely. And fast fashion is booming at the moment. So how do you convince clients that it's worth the quality over the quantity and to invest in these pieces rather than, going to buy something cheaper that won't last as long?
I think there's a time and a place for that sort of fast fashion. For instance, I know Zara is one of the biggest high street stores, And I know a lot of people just love that Zara hit of, grabbing something cheap and for that feel good that we spoke about. But you've also got to realize that item that you're then spending is still not cheap. It's probably, 40, 50 quid. Once you've worn it a couple of times, it's not going to look the same. And once you've washed it a couple of times, it's not, it's going to not wear as well. And then you end up just getting rid of it. And then you have to buy again. Where if you're buying better quality the first time round, not only do you look better in it because of the fabric and the quality, you feel better in it. There's no doubt that when you try something on that's a beautiful quality versus cheap, it instantly changes how you feel about yourself, how you hold yourself.
Definitely.
How you conduct yourself, your confidence, your self-esteem, how you walk into a room. So it's trying to educate them that actually by investing in certain pieces in your wardrobe will only actually reap dividends in terms of saving you money and saving you time in the long run.
100%. And could you please talk me through a typical styling session and how that goes, how the day goes? How does that work?
So normally first port of call is all the wardrobe consultation. So that's when I go over to the ladies or gentleman's home. It starts with a drink, a cup of tea, a coffee, what have you. We then sit down and I have quite a detailed questionnaire that I then fill in with them. It takes about 20, 30 minutes, depending on how much we both talk and how much information they want to give to me. The more, the better. Every single consultation is completely confidential. Clients are never discussed. So the more, the better really that they can give me, because that gives me a real insight into where they're at in their mind and their head, and also where they want to be going, because then I can assist them the best way I possibly can. We then go into the wardrobe and we look at absolutely everything. So, and we just look at, when was the last time you wore it? Do you feel good in it? Is it a bit tired? Is it a bit dated? Has it still got tags on it because you just don't know what to wear with it? So we assess every single thing in the wardrobe and we either pop it back because it earns a place in their wardrobe, or it goes and we de-junk it basically. But again, it's either goes to charity or it's sold. It's never goes to waste or anything like that. And then from there, we then create a shopping list. And we have a couple of options. We either sit down at the end of the session and we do an online shop. So I basically send them links and say, right, buy this, buy this, buy this. And then we'll have a follow-up a week or so later. Or we physically go personal shopping. So that's probably, I would say, the largest part of what I do is personal shopping. And that can be in a city of their choice. We generally decide on what they're needing and then what their budget is. And then we kind of decide where's best to shop. And it's a whole lot of fun.
I was going to say, I bet you absolutely love going in there and just pick it, because you're designing someone in a way. It's like you've got someone to choose whatever you think will look best on them. I think that would be a lot of fun.
It is brilliant.
And you've recently done a collaboration with Demi Couture in support of Women for Women International. How did it feel seeing that vision come to life? Because that is absolutely huge and it looked incredible.
Yeah, it's been a dream collaboration, if I'm honest. I'm so grateful to have such an amazing team in Demi Couture. Judy, the VP, is just, well, she's a friend now as well, not just a work colleague, but the whole team they're just so professional. We're just so in tune. We work really well together. I think both of our sets of clients are like-minded. We have fun, and it's about women supporting women and bringing like-minded people together. There's no bitchiness. There's no talking about people behind their back. It's just a great, almost suppose, networking event but the women are from all different backgrounds, and a lot of them come alone, which I love. And it takes a lot of balls for a woman to walk into a room full of other women in quite a premium setting. And I'm so proud of the girls that do turn up and do that, because I just think, good on you. They want to meet other women, and it's just the energy and the vibe. It's like nothing. It's really addictive. And once you kind of go, like, everybody that kind of comes like, right, when's the next one? So I've got another couple planned this season, and something really exciting for next year. So yeah, it was a dream brand to work with, and we're just all in it together. And it's just women supporting women is basically what it boils down to, whilst drinking champagne and shopping. It doesn't get like
perfect. Yeah. And I think it's amazing because apart from all of your personal shopping and everything you do, you're always so set on empowering women and making sure that women feel empowered, which is, I believe, is such an important part in this industry, because especially with social media nowadays, it's very, very easy for women to compare themselves to what they see on social media.
Absolutely.
Do you have any advice for that, for women, you know, that
I think
do that?
It takes a lot of, I think it's all about mindset, and it's knowing, I think because of my job, spending 15 years of seeing some of the most beautiful homes and wardrobes that you could possibly ever imagine. I don't know if it's a bit like, I don't want this to sound the wrong way, but sort of water off a duck's back to me. So I'm very much used to seeing things that aren't mine and that are, for me, perhaps unobtainable. But yet I admire at the same time, because that's come from someone working really hard. And I always want to know the journey and how that's been achieved. And I think, you know, good on you, because I just think we have to support other people, and we can't just look at each other and be jealous of what other success has brought them and think, well, if they can do it, why can't I?
Definitely.
And in terms of sort of looks, again, I think that just comes from, it's hard not to compare yourself when you're faced with it all the time, when you're flicking through social media. But I do practice a lot of gratitude, which my husband is like, for God's sake, Cleo. But for me, that's really important. And I think I'm always feel so grateful for what I do have in my life, whether that's an incredible friendship group, the fact I've still got my mum, I'm in a lovely home, I'm doing my dream job. I finally found love at a much, later age, but I'm so content in my life that I have created. And I think that's the thing. You create that, you create your own destiny. And for me, I love working hard, because with that comes a sense of purpose. It comes a sense of security and independence. And you've just got to work out what it is that makes you tick and what's important to you. But for me, it's about being grateful for what you do have and not comparing yourself. Well, if I had that, I'd be happier. Life for me isn't about that. It's about finding happiness in the smallest of things. But that has come with age and wisdom. And I can't say that I was like that in my 20s, but with age, it has definitely changed.
Amazing. And on the topic of social media, we now have AI in the mix and virtual styling tools.
Yeah.
Yep. Are they a competition or a new opportunity for stylists like you? How do you feel about all of this? Because, you started your business when social media wasn't big at all.
It didn't even exist.
Exactly. Yeah. To social media now booming, and then AI and virtual styling coming in. That's a lot of changes in the time that you've been in the industry.
Yeah, it is actually. Do you know what? I think I'm not personally a fan of AI. I understand that it can absolutely transform people's businesses. And in some aspects, it's incredible. But I think I'm just such a people person. I'm all about energy. I'm all about being with people and that realness. And for me, styling and what I deliver to a client is all about that in-person experience of how you feel. And that's so hard to do when it's across the screen. I do virtual appointments, but for me, it's being with that individual and picking up on their energy and how they're feeling and the emotion side of things as well. So it depends, I guess, on what that client is wanting from the experience. 100%. If it's just a quick, I need an outfit for some, I've got something coming up, then absolutely. But if it's someone that needs a bit of TLC and wants that energy together of feeling looked after, then I think it has to be in person. So I think as a tool, it could be brilliant for certain things, for certain stylists. But for me, I am awful on technology. That is not my strong point. So I'm not sure if it's something I will adopt to begin with, but perhaps in the future I may have to. You never know.
I think it's so much nicer as well for people to have that personal experience, because online, these virtual styling tools, I've tried them myself. I've put myself in front of the camera and seen the outfit put on me, but you don't actually get, that's not what you're going to get when it arrives. At the end of the day. I feel like it's not accurate enough yet, maybe, personally, I think. And I think with luxury fashion as well, it's so important to go and see that piece and see how you feel in it.
Touch the fabric and feel.
100%.
It's an experience, and that's what I deliver. It's an experience, and that's what people pay for, where I don't believe that would probably produce the same experience at all. So I think it depends on the client and what they're looking for.
And do you think luxury fashion is becoming more or less accessible?
I think the cost of certain luxury aspects, like, some of the nice handbags now are eye-wateringly expensive. And you've got to be earning, a hell of a lot of money to be able to obtain such luxuries.
Definitely.
So I think it's actually becoming further out of reach, if I'm honest. But then I think the high street's really upping its game to kind of, like, brands like Reiss I use an awful lot because, it's still a premium end of the high street, which I think some women really now appreciate. They don't want to be still shopping in H&M and River Island, and not there's anything wrong with those, but they're probably of an age where they think, I want something a bit more sophisticated, a bit more classic, a bit more forever. Where I think the high street now is starting to deliver that and realise that there is a gap for that in between before they then have to spend thousands of pounds, and not everybody wants to.
No.
And I think that's where this pre-loved and sustainable fashion and being able to hire or rent or buy pre-loved is just, I think, going to get even bigger, to be honest.
Definitely.
Because it fills that middle gap of course you want a nice Chanel, but you don't want to be paying £10,000 for it when you can get it for half the price.
And I mean, the Birkin, I'm going to talk about the Birkin for the Kardashians because I saw on your social media how you felt about that. And I think it is crazy, some of these prices and the auctions that these bags are going for or who they're being given to in the end. How do you feel about all of this?
I just felt that was such an iconic piece of history.
100%.
The first ever Birkin is something that I believe many should be able to access and celebrate, as in to view it, to see
in a
it.
museum.
Absolutely. Because it is a piece of history, it's a piece of art. And I just thought, oh God, if they win that. But luckily it went to someone that also feels that same way. And I believe it's, it's going to be cherished and looked after. And hopefully at some point, we will all get to share in it. But I just think there's certain things like that should not be allowed to be accessed by certain people.
Definitely not. And with the creative industry, it's non-stop. I mean, in the fashion industry, I'm learning that you eat, sleep and breathe it.
Yes.
You're at home, but your mind's still clocking everything you've done that day and what's coming in the next few months. How do you stay creative and avoid burnout in this crazy moving industry?
So I generally have a couple of months off a year. So I work like Billy-O in between. But during the changes of the season, so in January when the sales are on and people are fat and broke from Christmas, they don't want to go shopping. And the same in August when the kids are off school and it's the change of spring, summer into autumn, winter, and the sales are on again. So I kind of take 2 months off a year where I try to relax. I catch up with friends, but you've still got to have your head in the game. Like, you've still got to be right because it's coming in. So, by mid-August, autumn, winter's already starting to arrive. So even though you're laying on your sun lounge, you're like, right, this knitwear arriving, I need to check this out. So you kind of never really switch off. But I think that comes with being self-employed and having your own business. And also, like you said, being in such a fast-paced, moving industry. I mean, I err on more classic than I do on trends. So although obviously you need to be aware of the trends and what's current and up to date, it's also, I'm very much still of the mindset where it is more classical for me. And like we spoke about earlier, investing in those key pieces each season.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And apart from fashion, you have just got the gorgeous Hillview Burford. Could you please tell the listeners a bit about that and how you've done it? And you've styled the whole place, which is absolutely stunning.
Thank you.
How did that go? Did you enjoy it?
Oh, I mean, it was, I think if I didn't do what I do now, I probably would go into interiors. Maybe it's just like hand in hand of loving fabrics and colours, although it's quite neutral. It's like my wardrobe. And it was always a dream. The Cotswolds for me is a really special place. It's my kind of happy place, somewhere that I really do switch off. My mum loves it as well. And so I had an opportunity to invest in a sort of second home, sort of short-term holiday let. And I thought, let's just go for it. And I pushed myself beyond, more than I pushed myself for anything. Like it did nearly break me. But I'm very much in that you don't get anywhere in life unless you go for it.
No, definitely.
You challenge yourself and you overcome obstacles, because for me, that's what life's all about. And we don't get our dream unless we've got to have steps that, stepping stones that get us there. And so I was kind of looking in the Cotswolds at all the different villages. I very much wanted a tiny little village with nothing else there. But my mum was like, absolutely not. I want pubs and bars and restaurants and atmosphere and life. And so we probably ended up buying in the busiest, bustliest little town in the Cotswolds in Burford. But come 6 o'clock, it's like a different place. It's super quiet and it's just a beautiful, special little town. So historical. And the cottage is on the hill, at the top of the hill. So the views are beautiful.
Oh, wow.
And we are actually viewing a cottage across the road, which I really liked. It was the first time I'd spent a good probably 6 to 9 months viewing hundreds of properties. Every week I'd be going down and have a day of viewing God knows how many. And it was getting to the point where I was like about to give up. And then I'd seen this little cottage and I asked my mum and Jack to come with me for the day. And it was so nice having someone else there to kind of share ideas with and what do you think? And then this house was across the road and I could see the for sale sign. And I said to James, the lovely estate agent, I was like, James, why don't you show me that? He was like, because it's like 3 times over your budget. I was like, my mum was like, well, let's just go and have a look. So we did. And we both walked in. I burst into tears. She did. And I thought, oh shit, how am I going to make this work?
Perfect.
So you just do. So, and I put in an offer and then I was like, right, how do I raise the family sum? Let's just do this.
And for listeners, all of you should definitely go and have a look at your gorgeous place. You have also collaborated recently with Glossy Interiors and done some stunning cushions, which are now on the sofas in Hillview.
They are.
Tell us a bit about that. Are you going to keep on the collaboration?
I think so, because I really enjoy it. Amy, who owns Glossy Interiors, she's one of my clients, has been for years. And so it was kind of just a natural thing to do together. The quality is phenomenal. She's kind of wanted to get into that more of like a classic country kind of look. And so, yeah, we just kind of did it together and it looks fantastic. Sales are going really well. We're just going to do a limited edition collection and see how it goes.
They look incredible. I've had a look at them for myself.
Thank you.
And with running all these multiple businesses, which are absolutely incredible, how do you manage sticking with an online presence too and keeping your followers up to date whilst actually running everything behind the scenes? Because you do so much.
I think it's just you have to kind of keep those stories up every day if you can, even if it's just sharing something you've seen or a positive quote, or, you know, if I've seen something online that I've resonated with that day, I'm like, well, I'll just share it and see if anybody else needs to hear that or read that today. But also just turning up. Sometimes you might not be having any makeup on and you really don't feel like it because you're going for your treatments or what have you, but just kind of showing your face and just being real with your following, I think is really important. And people kind of feel like they know you because of that. And I think that's then leads to the trust aspect of people believing you and what you're saying. You know, if I'm saying, girls, like, this mascara is amazing, you need it in your life, people go, right, I'll have it, because if Cleo says it's good, because I have always maintained that authenticity throughout. You know, I wouldn't promote something I generally wasn't using myself. So I think show up every day, no matter how you're feeling, because actually they really do appreciate it on the other end. And if they don't, then they can just unfollow or not watch.
Definitely. And I think the thing why your followers love you so much is because not all influencers or anyone on social media are completely authentic. And there are a lot of people that would be offered quite a lot of money to promote something, and they'll do it whether they like it or not. And I think with you, you're very honest. And if you didn't like something, you wouldn't promote it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think your followers definitely know that.
I think they know, because I couldn't actually physically do it. I couldn't be on screen saying, oh, you need to buy this, because then they bought it and they were like, oh, it's shit. Then you're never going to sell anything again. So it has to resonate with you. It has to be true.
Definitely. And looking back on this whole amazing journey, what's advice that you'd give to someone who wanted to start out in this industry and become a stylist or a personal shopper or anything that you do, really?
I mean, it's not for the faint-hearted, but if you have a real passion for it and you have drive and determination, grit, then you can't really go wrong. If you have that passion and a love for what you do, then and you're not scared of working hard, I generally don't know how you'd fail. I generally don't. But you've just got to have the right mindset. And when I met you all those years ago,
goodness,
you had the same thing. And this is why you're sat here at the age you are doing your own podcast. And, working with Vogue. It's like, it's insane. But I knew that from the moment I met you. And if you've got that tenacity and that drive, then you literally can't fail.
No. And what's wrong with trying at the end of the day?
Absolutely.
At least you can't regret.
You fail, you learn, you go again and get even better.
Definitely. And just so the listeners know, my love for fashion has always been there. However, about 5 years ago, you came and helped my mum with her wardrobe.
I did.
And I walked out in some bright pink jeans and a bright blue blazer and went, hello. And you came back after that and we went for lunch and you told me everything about fashion and what you've done. And from then I was like, that's it. That's what I wanted to do. And when you came here today, I was thinking, goodness, she's going to be thinking of me as this crazy little girl that had these massive sunglasses on, this blue blazer and these pink jeans. And I think, why was I allowed to wear that? But no, you did. You gave me that spark in my fire that everyone needs. And I think when you meet that person in the industry that inspires you,
absolutely,
it makes you want to go.
Totally. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Thank you.
And what is next for Cleo Lacey Edwards? Are there any exciting projects on the horizon? I mean, I know you mentioned earlier there's something coming next year. And what are any dreams that you're hoping to achieve in the near future? What's coming for you?
I mean, I really would like a little rescue ginger pussycat.
I was not expecting.
Yeah, that's the dream. So I think in terms of business-wise, I'm really happy where I am. But there are a few things in the pipeline which I can't really discuss at the moment.
No.
But next year, I feel like there's certain things that I have on my goals and what I would like to achieve. And I'm already kind of, thinking about them now and what I would like to do. But I also think, you've got to pivot in business and you've got to do other things. So maybe more with interiors. I'll always obviously do my fashion side of things. But I am always thinking, I went for this amazing Sunday lunch the other day and the food was like spectacular, but the venue was so bad. I was like, I really want to put this on my Instagram because I want people to know how good it is. But equally, I don't want people to go, oh my God, when they turn up, which I feel really, and I know people listening to this will understand it when I'm
no, 100%.
But I thought I want to take them and I want to open my own really bougie, like gorgeous country pub and then like all these little things that
I could see you doing that though. I really
like
could.
Lisa Vanderpump of the Cotswolds. Apparently she's moving there. So we'll say,
Ooh,
there's so many things I have in my head that I want to do. It's just making the actions for them to happen.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I feel like your mind is always running. Always. There's always an idea.
Yeah.
I think that pub would be amazing though. So Cleo, I have to say it's been absolutely amazing speaking to you and I've loved every minute of it. And I think the listeners are going to be so inspired by everything you do and what you stand for because it's just so authentic and honest and beautiful. So thank you for coming on Off the Runway. I appreciate it more than you'll ever know and I've absolutely loved it.
Thanks, Johnny.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Off the Runway, and a huge thank you to the gorgeous Cleo for joining me today and for being such an inspiring guest. I love chatting all things fashion, interiors and creativity with her. I'll be back next time with more stories that explore style, identity and the background behind them. Same place, same time, Off the Runway.